On the evening of February 26, 2012, a call was placed to the Sanford Police Department's non-emergency line in Sanford, Florida. The caller, George Zimmerman, a neighborhood watch volunteer in the gated community of Twin Lakes, reported what he described as a real suspicious guy walking in the rain between townhomes. The call was recorded, as all such calls are, for several minutes. The dispatcher asked routine questions. What was the person wearing? What was he doing? Which direction was he headed? Zimmerman answered while following the teenager on foot. At one point, the dispatcher said, "Okay, we don't need you to do that," after learning Zimmerman was pursuing the individual. The call ended. Minutes later, multiple 911 calls came in from residents reporting shouting outside. One of those emergency calls captured the sound of a struggle in the background, voices, distress, and repeated screams for help. The screaming stopped abruptly with the sound of a single gunshot. Police arrived to find 17-year-old Trayvon Martin lying face down in the grass. He had been shot in the chest. Zimmerman admitted firing the weapon and claimed self-defense, stating that Martin had attacked him. He was questioned and released that night. As news spread, so did public demand for answers, especially about the audio. Under Florida law, 911 calls are generally public record. Authorities released several recordings within days, including the non-emergency call Zimmerman made and the 911 call that captured the screams. But not every version of the audio would be made public. The scream heard on the 911 recording quickly became central to the case. Trayvon Martin's family believed the voice crying out was his. Zimmerman's defense maintained it was Zimmerman calling for help. The Federal Bureau of Investigation conducted forensic audio analysis, attempting to enhance the recording and determine the identity of the voice. According to later statements by the U.S. Department of Justice, the analysis was inconclusive. The audio quality was too poor to make a definitive identification. While summaries of those findings became public, certain enhanced audio files and detailed forensic materials were not broadly released. Prosecutors provided required discovery to the defense, but authorities declined to distribute all enhanced versions to the media, citing evidentiary integrity and the need to protect the fairness of the proceedings. In April 2012, a special prosecutor charged Zimmerman with second-degree murder. During pretrial hearings in the 2013 trial, portions of the 911 recordings were played for the jury. Competing audio experts testified about enhancement techniques and voice comparison limitations. Family members of Martin stated they believed the screams were his. The defense presented its own expert suggesting the voice was consistent with Zimmerman's. After weeks of testimony, the jury acquitted Zimmerman of second-degree murder and manslaughter. Following the verdict, attention turned again to the recordings. Media organizations sought additional materials under Florida's public records law. Some documents were released, but certain federal investigative materials, including aspects of the FBI's audio enhancement work, remained sealed or undisclosed in full. Officials cited standard investigative confidentiality and the protection of forensic methods. The U.S. Department of Justice later concluded a separate civil rights investigation and announced in 2015 that it would not file federal charges, stating there was insufficient evidence to prove criminal civil rights violations beyond a reasonable doubt. For many observers, the withheld audio became symbolic. In a case that sparked nationwide protests and reshaped public debate about race, self-defense laws, and community policing, the idea that parts of crucial recording were not fully released fueled suspicion and frustration. Transparency advocates argued that complete disclosure would strengthen public trust. Authorities countered that criminal investigations require limits, especially when evidence could prejudice jurors, reveal investigative techniques, or infringe on privacy rights. Legal experts note that while 911 calls are typically public record, exemptions can apply during active investigations or when materials involve sensitive forensic processes. Courts must balance public access with defendants' constitutional right to a fair trial. In the years since, the released 911 recordings have remained publicly available and widely analyzed. The enhanced analyses referenced by federal authorities have been summarized, but not every technical file has entered the public domain. No court has overturned the verdict. The criminal case is closed. What endures is the sound captured in those final seconds, a cry for help that experts could not conclusively attribute to either man. Technology was applied. Arguments were made. A jury weighed the evidence. Yet uncertainty remains embedded in the recording itself. For Trayvon Martin's family, the focus has been remembrance and advocacy. They established the Trayvon Martin Foundation to support initiatives aimed at preventing violence and promoting social justice. Their public statements emphasize their son's life more than the technical disputes over audio files. The 911 call that night began as a routine report. It ended with a gunshot that changed national conversation. Portions of the evidence were aired in court and broadcast across the world. Other layers enhanced files. Internal analyses were never fully released. Sometimes the most contested evidence is not what is visible, but what is heard. And sometimes, even when a recording exists, it does not deliver certainty, only questions that echo long after the line goes silent.